Yeah.
I always like dance in between because what else do we do?
Yeah.
All right. I'm going to see if it says we are live. Let us see. We are live. Super excited to be here with the incredible Jennifer. Oh, I don't want to butcher your last name. I should have asked you that first.
Nascimento.
Nascimento. I love it. I'm here with her and I'm so excited to have her on our client spotlight, share about her journey using the EasyS method and to share more about what she does. So I'm going to turn the reins over and have you share more about who you are, how you help people and all that fun stuff. So over to you.
Yeah, thanks. So my name's Jennifer Nascimento and I'm a positive psychology English coach. So what I do is I help people who are non-native English speakers live more confidently in English, work, academically, live, do all of the things. Most of the time, I work with people who are already living in the US, whether they're working in the US with a US-based company. A lot of people in Silicon Valley, Washington, D.C., and so if they're already working for a company, it is to help them feel more empowered to work professionally and feel as confident and, I hate the word like as smart as they are in their native language in English, because there's not a lot of lack of confidence in that area. So I help those types of people to live and work more confidently in English, or the spouses and family members of people who live here. And, surprisingly enough, I work with people who are like, I've been living here for 10 years. My husband works for Google and I still can't talk to my kids' teachers confidently, or like I get stuck. And so I really help people feel unstuck and to live as confidently and with as much empowerment as they do in their own language.
I love that. And I think it's really powerful. And we chatted about this while we were working together. Like my parents came here as immigrants. And so I fully understood how it felt like for them to try and learn and integrate and be able to figure out how they could feel confident in a world that was brand new to them. And I think in this incredible world that we live in now, the opportunities are so vast for people to be able to create opportunities in US and like English-based businesses that it's such an opportunity for you to help bridge that gap for them when there's not a lot of conversation around that confidence and that ability to really be able to show up and feel like you know who you are and how to speak and like really to share all of that. So love that. Love what you're doing. I like to start out by sharing some wins, sharing some of your big wins. And we know you have some great ones. So tell me.
Where do I begin, Nas? So I would say the biggest win, there's so many. And it's hard actually to put them even in order of like the biggest, but some of the things that come to mind as really big wins are, number one, like a foundation of my own confidence in what I'm doing and what I'm sharing, and to know, the unique values that I have and what I bring, and being able to charge for it and feeling like I can charge for it and having like that confidence. That was huge because you hear it so many times and like, I still bring it up. And I feel like this was a couple years ago. There was like a meme going around during this time and like on the business Facebook group world, like, if you ever question your value, remember Anthropology is selling a bundle of sticks for $100 or something like that, And it was like, I heard that years ago and I was still like questioning how I could charge XYZ because of XYZ reason. And so you really helped like dismantle that belief entirely and help me show up. And then another huge win was, I started the program with you as a partnership with a podcast business, and I had put my own English teaching business to the side. So when that partnership dissolved in the middle of the program, I kind of put all of my attention back into my own business and kind of reintegrated the podcast partnership as a solo project with my English Outside the Box business. And I was in a position where I was charging two different rates, but they were pretty small. Like with the podcast, they were extremely low end pricing, like embarrassingly. I'm not even going to say it on this live. Like like,
can you please share? And I'm going to say why I want you to share, not to embarrass you, but to show that like you've done something really freaking incredible. And like, that's not something to like be ashamed of or anything, that like, that's a huge change. So I'm not going to make you, but I'd love if you would share.
and I, you know, I'm not embarrassed about it. Obviously, like it was a part of my story and my growth, and I'm not ashamed or anything, but just was being silly. Like, you know, it was low. So, I mean, at one point it was like $9.99 a month for like transcripts for this podcast. And then it got up to, you know, like, I mean, I don't even, it was like 29, 39, maybe like 40, but it was like a lot of work. We were outsourcing some of it. So we were paying somebody else to do some of it. And then we were showing up sometimes twice a week on like group calls and like support calls, and we were writing curriculum and like content and study plans and like a lot of this stuff. And it was just for a really low price. Like, again, it wasn't even more than like $40. And then we created this entire program where we pre-recorded so much valuable content, and it was so much amazing content. And it was like $100 maybe, like 97, or I think 149 was like the top price. So really, really low end packages for a lot of work. And then with my business and the way I was teaching, I was kind of doing this classic one-on-one model of like, you want to have lessons, you can have a class with me. We'll do 1 hour once or twice a week for X amount of dollars for this package price.
Yep.
And so it was that dollar per hour model that like I have been trying to get out of forever. And one of the main reasons I got into online work in the first place, right? And so I was able to drastically change that. And so I, you know, with the help of you, identified like where I was unique and what I could do differently and what I was doing differently, and identified gaps. I don't know if we're jumping ahead in your questions, right? I identified some gaps in where I was doing. And so I recreated these programs, and it started off at $450 a month.
Yeah.
And, you know, when I said that, I was just like, oh my God, how do I go from $29 a month to $450 a month?
Yes.
Or, you know, my package of like 4 classes 4 times a week was like $270. So how do I go from $270 to $450 even? I can't do it. And we were like, yes, you can. Here's one. You know, like always was there, like pushing me. And, you know, we'll get to like that, I'm sure, of all the amazing things you do. But so that was like a huge win, right? Going from $29 like group programs to like 1 hour once to twice a week one-on-one class packages to a really comprehensive one-on-one group comprehensive package, you know, like, so charging my prices and finding clients that were really, I mean, like what you say, premium clients. They want it, they show up, they know it, they work hard, and like we get the results.
Yes. Oh my gosh, all the yeses. I'm sitting here just like all the excited feelings. And I'm very big on like acting in integrity and being honest. It wasn't easy. Like, let's be very clear.
I cried a lot, you know?
Say this because I tell people when we get on calls, I'm like, I just want you to know that this is going to be a lot of work. Like, not like so much as like our time, but like our ability to see that, because one of the biggest and most difficult things that I myself struggled with, and I see so many other people, is like, we are gifted at what we do, but number one is being able to see that for ourselves and hear it, and like being able to then verbalize and articulate that for others. And there are these steps that are so invisible that nobody hears about, and they only see the other side of it. But like, it's important to be said that getting to that point, like it took a lot of freaking heavy lifting for her and for all my clients to get to that point of one, being able to see it for themselves. And like, I have to like put it in front of you and say, listen, here's what you're doing that's so powerful. Taking that in, letting that sit with you for a minute, and then being able to say, okay, now how do I articulate this? How do I speak to the right people? And I think one of the most powerful things was you understanding the difference of speaking to people who were high intent premium clients, because I will say tears were shed over, I am spending so much time convincing people, talking to people, and it's the worst feeling ever.
Yeah. So, and it's true, like what you attract. Like I was there was so much of my audience for so many years that I was attracting $29 a month people. And not that there's,
Nothing wrong with it.
with that, or like wrong with somebody who only can afford $29, that's different. But it's like, there was a common pattern that I was seeing with people that would do this low end course and want a lot.
Yes.
But then wasn't even willing to do the work, or would not show up, or would forget, or, all of these things. So then I got to this point, and it was really interesting because I moved to teaching one-on-one, or I started my own business, I should say, because I was in a classroom teaching and I was frustrated with the amount of effort I was putting in.
Yeah.
Or these students who are like showing up to San Diego for, we called it like San Diego's rent. They paid like a student visa to show up. They didn't care what they were like learning about. And I was like, I want to be with people who care. I want to be with people who want this as much as I want it for them. And like, who are going to meet me with as much as effort as I'm putting into these lesson plans and these ideas and these like.
Yes.
And, so that's why I went one-to-one, or like on my own, because I was like, if someone's paying out of their own pocket for this, like, of course they want it. But as we find out, like, not always. Not always the truth. And that's why I really reiterate, like, I know when I say premium clients, a lot of people think it's a money thing. And I tell people, I don't care what your price point is for your service. I truly believe that like your price point has to match the return on investment that you can create for people and the value that you bring. But let's be real, most people who come into my world are people who are industry like shakers, and they're like changing the game for things. So they can charge more because they're doing something really innovative and incredible. But more importantly, when we talk about premium clients, is the level of intent, right? Like, I don't care if someone pays you $10,000, if they're not showing up, they're not doing the work, and they're not excited. None of us and the people I work with, none of us care about simply making the dollars. We care about, is this person creating the transformation? Are they getting their result? Am I able to like be fueled by this, which is so freaking powerful. So when I talk premium and I talk high intent, I mean that. I mean, I want you to be met with somebody who cares about the change that you're helping them create more than you care, or as much as you care, because that changes the entire process of how you can support them, the results you can get, and the trajectory of your business, but also of the ripple that you can create in their lives and others. I like that you said that, like even somebody who's able and willing to pay $10,000 a month for a coaching program but doesn't show up is still not a premium client. Nope, not at all. Totally not. I love because that. You want them to get that result. So I always am like, it's funny because that word premium can always like make people think high ticket or a large amount. It doesn't mean that. It just means high intent. So share with me, because I think the relationship that we created, funny enough, of how we met was very interesting. Of like, we talked a year and then a year later. Well, we didn't really talk, but it was interesting. Did you have any objections that almost kept you from working with me? So it was always, well, there was, it was a partnership. So it was something that had to be agreed upon, but it was also, I mean, it was money. And like, is this going to work? Because my partner in the past and I had tried like the Membership Guys website and like, I can't even remember, a couple other like monthly subscription types of group programs to get us results, right? And we never really saw it. And like, actually, someone had recommended to me like this other launch guy who like did all these things, and we followed this program to a T, and like we got bigger results than we had, but still like not a lot. And so like we were not at a place like financially, like we were not as lucrative as what we wanted to be. Yeah. But we wanted to become more lucrative. And so I think that's probably the biggest objection, I would say, is like people in that in between, like, you got to invest money to make money at the end of the day. And I mean, you helped me see that, and like, well, and I think it was an important factor of like, I think return on investment is always a really important thing, right? Like if you've invested in other things and you haven't seen a result, it almost creates a little bit of like, well, can I do this again? And or even if you did create a result, maybe it wasn't a long-term result, or it wasn't exactly what you needed. So I think that's a powerful conversation. What would you say, what was the shift for you? And you may have already answered this. What was the shift for you that ultimately led you to like saying, let's talk, let's get on a call, let's have a conversation? What was that for you? So we felt like we were plateauing. And then if I would also kind of like make it parallel with my own business, like, because I had mentioned I put that kind of on the back burner to do this one, but even with my own business, I felt like I just hit a plateau. Like we had stuff that was working, that was selling, that was getting results. So we knew what we were doing wasn't complete, like nothing, right? But we would go, and then we'd like hit this plateau, and then we'd get like a lot of sales, and then like people would cancel, and then we'd get sales, and people, and it was just like we were always staying at this one level. So we were like, how do we level up? Like, you know, and that's not like, not pun not intended, you know, right?
It worked out perfectly.
But how can we, like, what are we doing wrong? What are we missing? Like, and we knew there was something lacking, because at the end of the day, like, I'm a teacher.
Yeah.
You know, like I am passionate about creating and teaching, not like marketing and sales and emails and funnels and like all of these things that we think that we need and we hear, right? And so that's why I had reached out to you originally, was I got like recommendations from people, like we're looking for a coach to help us to level up and reach new levels or whatever. And you were recommended by a lot of people, and we chatted. And then it got to the point where last year, or like 2 years ago, it was, shoot, we have a lot of work to do. Like we want to change a lot. So let's, like, before we invest money, let's like regroup. So we regrouped. We ended up, let's try this launch that we've had on our radar. Like we've already started, let's do it. So we did that. Let's see how it goes. Let's get the results and then figure it out. So we did that. Didn't get the results we wanted. It was more, then came back to you again at the same time. Again, internally, we were like, oh, we need to make the shifts. So I had said to you, like, oh, this sounds really great. I love what you're going to do. I think that there's stuff that like we need to do first to figure out, because you're going to ask us questions that we're not ready to answer yet.
Yes.
I want to have questions. I want to know what we're doing to then maximize our time with you, because I thought that was the answer. And it made total sense to me at the time. But you come back and you were like, great. You know, that's great. Love it. I'm here for you whenever. However, you know, and you hit me with that however, and I don't remember exactly what you had said, but something along the lines of like, that's what you do. Like you help us figure out those questions.
Yes.
Yes. You know, you help us create like what we were thinking about trying to do before we worked with you. You were like, that's what I'm going to help you do together, and then keep going.
Yes.
So we came back and we're like, maybe that's what we need. Like that is what we're lacking, you know? And so that's what ultimately got us like signed up with you, is because we were like, all these questions that we like think we need to go back and figure out first.
Figure out on your own.
Let's figure it out with a professional.
Well, and let me be clear, and I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think I'm on a mission to teach the world the difference between strategy and coaching, and like hiring a strategist versus a coach, because I always tell people this isn't anything against coaches. I think coaches bring a lot to the table, but exactly what your thought process was, that I have to have these things figured out so that I can make the most out of a coaching relationship, is true. But as a strategist, I actually get to jump in and say, hey, I'm going to ask you the questions. I'm going to help you take what you're thinking and develop the plan and the strategy and the pieces, and even show you things that you didn't think to think of and the pieces that you didn't see.
100%.
And so I tell people this over and over again. I say strategists and coaches are very different. And so I love that you brought that up, because I swear that's like one of my biggest mission statements, is to help the world see this.
I mean, it was huge. And I almost wish I had like that email pulled up, like it would take forever to find it, because what you said, it was like, huh, you know, like, she's absolutely right. And it wasn't like, I mean, obviously, like, it wasn't like you were trying to get me. Do you know what I mean? It was like, it was a legitimate statement. And it was like, when you saw that, it was like, oh my, like, she is absolutely right. And you brought up the point that you help people, right? And you helped me like see things that I didn't even think about, or like think about things in a way that I wasn't even aware of, or you know, and that is what's massively helpful. And what has been helpful is because, you know, and there's been so many times that I'm like, okay, Naz, I'm stuck because this is what I'm thinking, and I can't see beyond, like what beyond. And you're like, this is beyond. oh my God. There's like,
I love that you say that because we don't realize that, like, as a strategist, my job is I come into your business, I show you one, where your opportunity is, where your gap is, what you're doing, how to leverage the right things. I think as business owners, we don't recognize that we spend so much time fixing the wrong problem. And we spend so much time thinking we're fixing the right problem, only to find out that, that's not it. And I remember vividly you coming in and saying, oh my gosh, this isn't working, which, by the way, I'm saying this candidly because I like to be clear that at any given point, someone working with me will say this isn't working. And I'm like, yeah, it's working. You just don't see it, or there's just something missing. And saying that this isn't working. And we were able to actually identify the broken piece so that we could say, well, it's not that it's not working. It's that this piece needs some shifts. It needs some optimization. And as a result, when you made those shifts, you saw the result you wanted. And so I just love that. So let me ask you this. What have you been the most excited about being able to create, or what throughout this process, like what would you share with others about all the fun stuff we're doing and have done?
Oh my gosh. It's really, again, it's so hard to like think of one. It's really, really cool in hindsight, right? Looking back at how much growth happened and like how much you uncover and discover in it. And it's really hard to see when you're in the middle. And like you said, like like I have showed up crying on so many calls. And also let me just shout out to like the amazing people in the actual group outside of you that's like always there to rally in your corner, in the DMs, in the Zoom like private conversations, and like the relationships built there is incredible. So it's really great to like see what was created through all of that hard work, and like see what was uncovered and discovered, and the exercises you do and the trainings that you do are like really, really helpful for that, because again, it just makes you think and it makes you see things in different ways. And so that's been really cool. It's been really cool to differentiate myself and like find out what, like, I mean, basically creating my English success system, like in the course, and like being so passionate about it and being like, oh my gosh, this is it. Like, this is it. And I love it. And I can like wholeheartedly and passionately stand behind what it is and the results that it creates, because like I've seen the results, And honestly, like the most exciting thing was the first yes that I got that I wasn't expecting on the $450 course, because it happened where like my partner left on a Monday.
Oh, I know.
And we had a sales call on a Wednesday, and then like she bought by Thursday. And so it was this whirlwind of like, I haven't even created this program of what I just sold, because we were going to be doing that together last weekend. And so that was like really hard. And so when I was kind of going through the motions of doing the sales call through WhatsApp and like through our messaging and stuff, like I remember sitting at my friend's house, and we were like, my family was there with our friend, and we were kind of like just hanging out, and I like checked my phone, and she's like, I'm so excited, I'm in. And then I check my email, and I'm like, payment confirmation, and I'm like, holy
it worked. I did it.
And I'm pretty sure I immediately screenshot and text you. I think before I even told like my husband or my family, like, texting you like, oh my God, no.
Oh, I'm so thankful. That is amazing. I think you even increased your prices since then.
Yeah. And yes, I did, because I recreated the program since then, actually. And yeah, it went from, I think that was a 450 to now 650 is one.
Look at how far you've come. Like, I just want to like take a brief moment, and it's not even, we use price as a tangible way to measure the success. And I literally tell people that's the only reason we use that. But like the version of how you started and where you are now, like, I'm just like, it's just freaking awesome to watch. Like, I want you to hear that and know that like, it's been amazing to watch. So my last question for you is, if someone's thinking about if they should work with me, if they should learn about the Easy Yes method, what would you say to them?
I mean, absolutely. I mean, if you're nervous or like wondering and you haven't gotten on a call yet, like absolutely get on a call, because what you think you know right now is nothing what you need to know, you know? And that was I thought about that and I was like, oh, we're going to get to this later. And I don't know if I answered it or said this specifically, but one of the major things was like you talk about helping us do this, right? It's like uncovering the gap, or like what the problem I think I had going in
Yeah.
is what was not the problem at all.
Mm-mm.
And there was just no way for me to figure that out on my own by doing all of these like self-study programs or courses or memberships or this or that, or like DIY stuff, you know? Like I needed you and your brain and your genius to like uncover what actually was missing, and it was different than what I thought, you know?
I love that.
So it's like to have a call with you, you know, talk about it, because you're going to meet with them and you're going to ask them like, what are you thinking about, or like whatever you ask, right? And they're going to say, and then you're going to be like, well, actually no, and here's why. So if you're waiting to get on a call to discover the why, like discover the why, and then know that this program has been monumental in everything, and you and your accountability, you know, your expertise, your support, the support of the group. Like it's so much more than just working with you, you know?
Agreed. 100%.
Absolutely.
I love that. Well, you are an amazing person. Thank you for being here today, sharing your incredible experience and the good and the bad and the ugly and all of it. If someone were listening in and saying, oh my gosh, I want to learn more about what Jennifer does, where can they learn more about you and your incredible method and how you serve and support your clients?
Yeah. So still in a bit of a transition, because I didn't actually just say quickly that like not only did I start your program and then lose a partnership, I also had a baby in the middle of it. And so my second, so which is much different. So like I'm slowly getting back into the swing of things, but again, don't let like perfectionism stop you and think like I have to have website, blah, 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 because you know, right? So I rebranded the podcast into Working Solo, so it's English Outside the Box. You know, my website englishoutsidethebox.com is going to kind of lead you to all of the things. And I would say, you know, the podcast is on a winter break, coming back in January-ish, and then Instagram is kind of where I'm sharing some of this content as well. So that's English Outside the Box Jen, Jen, on Instagram, to kind of connect with me and find where I'm at. And then all of that kind of leads to, if you actually want to talk to me personally, we would connect on WhatsApp.
I love it. And she'll pop back into the comments later and drop all that information so you can learn more about her incredible program and how she supports her clients. So she'll come back in and do that. For those of you who have been listening in, thank you for being here. And if you want to learn more about the Easy Yes method, you understand how it would work for your business and how I can support you in doing that, feel free to send us a message or go to easyesleads.com/call and you can book a call with us. But again, thank you so much, Jennifer, for being here and sharing your story and your message. I appreciate it so much.
Thank you.
And I hope you all have an amazing day.
Thank you.